Well, welcome in once again, everybody, to another edition of the Best Damn Golf Talk Show on the air. You know, the 19th Hole podcast for golfers. I'm your host, Dennis Silvers. Very to have you in here. Weather here in Las Vegas. Of course, we're coming live from the great Rigel Studios here in the center of Las Vegas, just moments away from the famous Las Vegas Strip. Weather here is great, mid 60s, sunny. People are out playing golf, so we hope wherever you're watching us from on whatever platform, you've got some good weather and you're able to get out and play. Before we get started with our great guest that we have, is really a good guy, one of the very top instructors anywhere. I made an announcement last week that we were excited to have a Republican candidate for governor, Guy Nora, who was supposed to be on the show. We were told he committed to be on the show, or his campaign team did. And then at the last minute, apparently he was triple booked. So I don't know what that says about his campaign team, but anyway, he decided to blow us off, and I think he's judging a pickle eating contest or something like that, but not a big deal. So we've got another fantastic guest for you today. Let me tell you about my friend Brian Mogg. He's a former PGA Tour player and now is a PGA Tour instructor. Brian is rated by Golf Magazine as a top 100 instructor. He's also rated by Golf Digest as a top 50 instructor, and he's rated number one on the 19th Hole podcast for golfers. Brian is based out of Orlando, Florida, but he has academies in Tacoma, Washington, Honolulu, Hawaii, Toronto, Canada, and even as far away as Seoul, Korea. Brian instructs players from all of our major tours to amateur players who have a driven desire to improve their game, and he's just the guy that can turn it around for them. Brian has at least 30 tour wins with his students, obviously professionals, which is really a tremendous feat. I don't know anybody else that can really match that. So right now it's my pleasure to bring up on screen our good friend Brian Mogg. And Brian, thanks for taking time out, man, of a busy schedule to be with us. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Dennis. Always good to be with you.
I appreciate it. Let me start off with a little bit differently. Brian, as you know, the Winter Olympics is starting up soon, but I want to talk Summer Olympics and specifically when they play golf. How much of an impact on people do you think happens when golf is played in the Summer Olympics? Yeah, it's seen by millions of people. It's a team competition, obviously. But do you think that really helps grow the game? What's your view on that?
Well, I think it's very interesting that when you watched the Olympics last year in Tokyo, you had so many people totally trying to get a gold medal with the exclusion of not caring about what the dollars were about. And obviously, when you're playing the tour and the FedEx and things like that, there's millions of dollars on the line. You had 60 tour players, male, and I think it was 60 female. There was no prize money on the line. They wanted one of those three medals, and they were going to go all out to get it.
And they did. Do you think that really helps promote the game worldwide, and as a consequence, golf adds a number of players to the game?
Well, let me tell you a personal story that I don't think nobody's heard this one yet. So if you remember last year in the Olympics, Xander, I think, birdied or got up and down the last hole to win by one. Is that correct?
Yes.
Memory good on that?
Yep.
Well, if you remember, he beat Rory Sabatini by one, and Rory shot 61 the second day, and I don't remember who got the bronze. Well, true story. The next week, I have an Orlando student, friend, amateur, Matthew Laverghetta. Matthew had some business in Europe that he had to go over and do, and he had something like a 6-day gap between a series of meetings and another series of meetings, and he went and looked to see if he could play golf anywhere, and he noticed the Slovakian amateur was going on. He said, let me see if I can try and play. He did. He wins the tournament. Well, wow. Guess who was there on the 18th hole to hand him the trophy?
Who?
Rory Sabatini.
Really?
The week after the Olympics, and I don't remember why Rory played for Slovakia, except I think his wife is from there. Rory had his silver medal on, and I've got a picture of Matthew and Rory from
Awesome.
Slovakia, all because of the Olympics. I mean, that's kind of a little side personal story, but Rory was unbelievably proud to have won the silver medal in the Olympics, and yet, he's kind of on the back end of his career with a, great accomplishment in his career, but that silver medal will be something that 40, 50 years from now, he'll still be talking about because he got a medal in the Olympics, much like a sprinter or pole vaulter or
Yeah.
somebody else would.
Yeah.
I think
Oh,
it's
yeah.
great. The Olympics are treating golf like they should.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. That's a fantastic story and obviously a memory for a lifetime. You've played with a lot of different kinds of golf equipment, Brian, through your career. But it seems to me right now that the club manufacturers are selling what I call more hype today than technology. First, do you agree with that or not? And have club makers hit a wall as far as their technology goes?
Well, let me start with full disclosure. I'm with TaylorMade, and I'm blown away by how qualitative TaylorMade continues to build their products. They've got the Stealth Driver that just came out. A couple of tour students I've worked with have seen 1 to 3 miles an hour in club head speed pickup. That's 8 to 10 yards, and it seems that each year they continue to come out with it. I think if you look at most of the top manufacturers, they're also in that same technology ramp up every year, where you're getting a mile or two here and there picked up. And I got to say, the game of golf, we're getting so much help from the manufacturers that I don't think it's all that much hype. I mean, I think you can separate between manufacturers a little bit and talk about which companies produce slightly better products. But, for the history of the game of golf, all the way down to beginner golfer, the quality of what you're able to use is so far advanced from where it was, even 10 years ago. Some of the junior stuff and lady stuff, I mean, it
Hmm.
really is pretty good quality now. And it's not, there used to be such a disparity between whether you had a new club or an old club. Well,
Yeah.
now most of the manufacturers are building good stuff, and they continue to push that envelope. And I mean, TaylorMade's just technically, they don't come out till February 4th, but the products out there called Stealth, they've gone away from titanium. And all I've heard privately from TaylorMade top execs in the last few months is we're going to see as big a change going from wood to titanium, which is basically where we've been for the last 25 years or so. Now TaylorMade's come out with carbon, and they're able to make the driver head 17 grams lighter than anything we've ever used before, but they're able to get a more hot face. So you put a lighter head and a hot face. That's why I've already seen a couple mile an hour pickup with some of my tour students. And I'm sure the other
Yeah.
companies are either on the edge of doing the same thing, or they've got their own version of what's coming out in 2022. So I mean, I scratch my head every year when I keep hearing what TaylorMade's got in plans. Like,
Yeah.
how can you beat this? How can you top
Right.
this? And
Right.
that's what's in a good way good about the industry right now is I mean, I hit the ball further now than I did when I was on the tour 30 years ago. How cool is that? I mean, some of it's advancing in swing and understanding things like that, but I hit the ball a lot further than I used to. My golf ball, I mean, the TaylorMade golf ball I use is awesome, as are
Yeah.
other golf balls. So we have a lot of really good companies right now putting out quality product, competing to see who can get market share. But I think as a
Right.
golfer, it's a great time to see companies putting great product out there.
Yeah, well, a couple of things. I agree with you. I don't think anybody makes any bad clubs, no matter which brand you get. And I've been told, Brian, you don't have enough club head speed to crack an egg off the tee. So I'm glad you're getting more distance.
I'm not, I mean, I can vouch. I've played in some Champions Tour events the last 5, 6 years, and I'm about 20 yards longer than my best year on the PGA Tour. I mean, that's
But isn't it true though? Isn't it true though, Brian, that the people that are taking full advantage of the club and ball technology today are the tour players, and it's not the average weekend player?
well. Let me go on a little rant here. I mean, yes, you're right, but you're right basically because every tour event. I mean, in Palm Springs right now, the tour vans were sitting behind the guys on the range, and when you're with Company A, you went back to your van and you made the rep there tweak your club or adjust
Right,
your ball, get on
right,
track, man, until you could dial in what exactly is perfect for you.
right.
And the average golfer just rarely has a chance to do that. I mean, they might be able to get on a flight scope or a TrackMan. They might be able to do a little bit of testing here and there, but they're not getting anywhere near the access the tour players do. So when a tour player's out there swinging at 120 miles an hour, they've got access to the best shafts and all the tweaks that go on that try and squeeze an extra 2, 3, 4 yards out of a shot. unfortunately, most amateurs aren't privileged in that way. So I don't know. There's a lot of things that are out there. And one of the things I was going to mention, we're starting up a virtual golf academy here in the next literally week or two. One of the components we're going to have in there is you're going to be able to fit yourself through our site. And I think one of the weaknesses out in the golf community right now is that everybody gets fitted, but technically all you get fitted for is on the day you went to hit balls, and however you're swinging at that moment in time, you got fitted for that swing.
Right.
If you happen to have a few lucky shots, well, then you're going to get time for that. Or if you hit some really bad shots, you're going to get time for that bad shot. So we're really doing something with static fitting and making sure that no matter how tall you are, no matter how long your arms are or wide you are, you're going to get fitted for something that's going to fit your body, that's going to give you the best chance to be in a great posture, which can then give you a great chance to swing. Nobody's doing that. So, I give manufacturers credit. They're putting out some really good products.
Mm-hmm.
If the club doesn't fit you, if the club is too upright or too short or too long, any of those components of it, your skill level is going to go down. Your scores are going to go up because the clubs don't fit you. And that's
Correct.
something we're really trying hard to address with this virtual academy that's going to go live by February 1st.
That's awesome, and I want to talk to you a little bit later about that. Is it even going to get to the point where somebody could figure out that's using it if they need to be 2 degrees more upright or a degree flatter or whatever? Are you going to be that refined on it?
Way more refined than even that.
Wow.
Basically, and let me give you a good illustration. We talked about this when it comes out, one of the first videos on this site. When I was on tour, Nick Price was a pretty good friend of mine. He befriended me. He was older, gave me some great advice as I was going to be a rookie. And then, as his career went on, he obviously took off, became a superstar, won 3 majors, player of the year a couple of times. And after that was over, he asked me to help him go down and do he was doing an instructional video series, all the wins he'd had, all the success he'd had. He just wanted someone off camera to make sure his lingo was good or his golf words were right, nothing kind of silly went on, and I just was there to kind of oversee that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, as the cameras would move around and all that, we'd take breaks. Nick and I would step back and hit golf shots or play games, challenge each other, 6 irons. Well, Nick and I are the exact height, 6 feet tall. So you would think we would use the exact same clubs, correct?
Right.
Makes sense, right? The same
right.
height. Well, when I picked Nick's iron up, literally I could barely tick the top of the ball, barely scull it in best case scenario. I'd give him my club. He's #1 player in the world, and he would hit a foot behind it. What's going on? That doesn't sound right, right?
No.
Well, all right. Well, Nick's inseam is 28 inches. Mine's 32. We're the same height, but I'm 4 inches taller in my legs. I put my arms down. They don't go down kind of halfway to my knees. They really are slightly on the shorter side.
Right.
Nick puts his arms down. They go almost past his knees.
Oh, wow.
So Nick has really short legs, really long arms. If you remember, right, very flat swing. His arms were so long. So Nick swung very, very kind of connected, tight to his body, very fast. So when he got my clubs, your legs determine the length of your clubs. So mine are a little long. His were definitely a little short. Mine are a little upright. His are a lot flat. So when we would change out our clubs, it was almost comical. I was trying as hard as I could, just hit a normal shot. I couldn't even come close to getting down to the ball because his clubs were so short. Mine were too long, too upright. So you stereotype and go, it's just, hey, you're about the same height. You should need about the same height. No. So we get very dialed into how long your legs are, how long your arms are, and trying to get you into a perfect posture. And your clubs better fit you or you're in trouble.
Yeah, I agree. That is a great story. Before we take our first short break, let me ask you, and you talked about this, everybody, we know that speed equates to hitting the ball longer, and everybody says there's a saying, as you know, Brian, very well, you don't go after it harder, you go after it quicker. How does the average guy work on getting more speed in his golf swing?
There's a loaded question for you. Let me take a step back for a second, because I think we're all, whatever the word is, enamored with Bryson and what he's kind of started for the trend, and everybody's swing speed's trying to go up. I got no problem with that, and I'll share some things in a minute. But let's take a step backwards in time. How do you hit the ball the farthest? Well, you hit it in the sweet spot. You hit it in the center of the face.
Right.
For the amateur golfers out there, your longest shot is always going to be your most solid shot. So you don't want to get too far removed from trying to make sure that is the primary focus of what you're doing. Solid shots always go the farthest.
I agree.
Next, think of a boxer. If a boxer throws a punch either early or effectively hits the person before the punch really has time to travel very far, there's no damage being done. So the efficiency of speed is something that's not talked about right now. And that gets very frustrating when you hear some of the gurus on TV talking about speed and all the things you got to do. It's only good like cracking a whip. Someone's going to crack you with a whip. It's only going to hurt if they manage to kind of crack it at the right time to hit you.
Right.
So before you look at any of this overall speed stuff, you really have to look at the efficiency of it and how to make sure you're getting the speed and the timing of it at the right time. So if you can hit it solid and crack the whip at impact, okay, now we can go ahead and take an honest look at speed. I mean, you can have all the speed you want, but if those two components are off, you're probably going to hit it offline. So then it just means you're deeper in the woods.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fair state?
Yeah. Yeah. That's a very good analogy. I agree with that. I agree with that totally. Go ahead.
If you're going to go then, yeah. So then if you're going to go beyond that, then it's a fair question to say, how do you create more speed?
Right.
All right. And the best analogy out there, I know I've mentioned this before, but I have an academy at Chambers Bay. And if anybody's ever been out there, we're down on the lower range, and the clubhouse is way up high on a hill. And to get down to the park, you got to come down this really, really steep hill. So I tell this story every time at Chambers Bay. If we were to take some track people to this, it's got to be at least maybe 100 yards down the hill, and you put them at the middle of the slope, halfway down the hill. Would you train them to run up the hill or down the hill if you wanted them to go faster? If you wanted them to learn to run faster, which way would you train them to go, up or down?
I would think down, Brian.
Well, then you're a very smart man. Okay? Most people, probably 90% of people answer that question, answer uphill. Oh, I've got to work hard. I got to grind away. I got to run up that hill.
Right.
You want to run downhill, let your body almost get out of control with motion, and then learn how to control that excess speed as you race down the hill. Golf swings the same way. You swing it, just make it easy, 100 miles an hour. You better start training at 110 miles an hour to maybe get yourself up to 103.
Yeah.
One of the things that just you want to hit more speed, well, go out in your backyard and just start swinging fast.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Nothing wrong. Make a baseball swing, not necessarily the golf ball. Make a small step with your front foot, a stride, and then let her rip. You've got to learn to run downhill. Downhill teaches you how to run faster, hence swing faster.
Yep. That's a great point. That's a very good point. All right, hang in there, Brian. We're going to take a short break. We're going to step away, and of course, we come back. We'll have a lot more with our very special guest, Mr. Brian Mogg, who is in Orlando, and we're going to take our first break. And we want to welcome a brand new advertiser to the show. You're going to love her. She's a fitness expert. She's in Arizona. She does golf and all of the stuff to make you feel good. And we call it Tea Time Fitness with Janice. So here we go.
Want to get stronger, more flexible, fit into your clothes more easily, or even hit your drives 15 yards longer? I've created a series of fast and effective programs that combine mobility, strength, and Pilates that you can do in your home or in a gym a few times a week to achieve your goals. Hi, I'm Janice Thornton, and I'm a certified online personal trainer with JT Fitness and Golf. I can help you get motivated and feel healthier in just a few weeks. Whether it's beating your buddies at golf, getting longer off the tee, or wearing that favorite dress again, I can help you reach your goals. Imagine being able to take a break from your busy day, walk into your workout space, and have an online personal trainer waiting for you. The variety of workouts will motivate you. Your training experience should not be mundane and boring. It should be something you look forward to and results driven. See the results and be the results. Let's connect today. You can email, text, or call, or set up an appointment through my calendar. What are you waiting for? Get JT Fit today.
When I first learned about Encore, I was a little taken back because I didn't know much about the ball. I went out and played a couple rounds with it, and I was just extremely surprised how this ball made up for what I was looking for in a golf ball 20 years ago. It's a very straight ball. It launches a little higher than other balls that I've used, which is ideal for the tour because we're playing firm and fast greens. A lot of the balls do fly very similar, but this ball reacts so much differently around the greens and inside 100 yards than any other ball I've ever played. The combination of this ball is the best ball that I've ever played.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Continuing our conversation with PGA Tour instructor Brian Mogg. Brian, as I mentioned earlier, you have a number of different academy locations, different golf schools. First, what's the upside of having that? And is there a downside into having a lot of locations?
Well, I've been doing this enough time. Let me be honest. The upside is I now have friends in so many places. I've got Orlando's kind of where home is. My wife and I are from the Seattle area. We have an academy at Bay. We spend most of the summers there. Got great friends, lifelong friends out in that area. I've been going to Toronto for 25 years and just have so many Canadian friends. Honolulu's become the same way. I knew nobody when we first started that one 10 years ago, 11 years ago. Same thing. I love going over there because I have friends. And then my Korean academy is something that's cool. When Wai Yang beat Tiger, Wai was one of my students. I had a lot of LPGA Korean top players. An academy kind of came out of that, and that's the same thing. For 10, 11 years, I go over to Korea in the fall usually, sometimes in the spring. I'm with the kids. They winter train here in the U.S. They're friends. My Korean coaches are my friends. And the upside is I've got friends all over the world right now, and that's something that you can't put a price tag on.
True.
The challenge is you can only be in one place at one time, and trying to keep a sane schedule of juggling, trying to see students in, 3 countries and a whole bunch of different states, as well as work with your tour players and all the other stuff I have going on. That definitely becomes a time commitment and a challenge. But after a while, you err to go see your friends. And there's a business and a financial element involved, but deep down, it's about your friends and making sure you get time with your buddies.
Right.
Even though it's kind of a teacher-student relationship, they're your friends. And that's, to me, been probably the coolest thing I've been a part of for the last 30 years is started teaching, 30-something years ago. And all of a sudden now I've got friends all over the world. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, no, that's very good. So you must get a hell of a lot of Christmas cards.
Christmas cards and frequent flyer miles. Those are not short supply.
Oh, I like that. What do you have to do, Brian, as an instructor to give your students, amateurs, to give your amateur students enough confidence not to revert back to their old habits while they're out playing golf with their buddies, to stop reverting back to what they have come to see you for in the first place?
Well, that's a good question. One of the things that I like to draw off of is the fact that I came from playing the tour. I still play competitively on some on the Champions Tour and a few events here and there. You have to teach more than just mechanics. You have to teach more than 17 positions in the golf swing, or you're just going to mess up your student. Mm-hmm. So one of the things I really try and draw from, as relates to your question, is if I haven't educated my student on what to expect when they go play, shame on me. You want that student to feel prepared, not just, here's 3 drills or here's 7 things to think about. That's just overloading the student. So one of the things that I really try and do with students, especially if I know they're going to go play, it could be an important match, could be a club championship, might even be, like a tour player with a big event. Yep. You've got to do a dry run. You've got to simulate what they're about to experience and go through. So part of playing the game is, what happens when you lose your swing? Well, don't go lose your swing, shoot a really bad score, or have a bad tournament, and then come back and say, I lost my swing. We work on those things on the range. What are you going to do if you're hitting it dead right or dead left or chunking it? What's the go-to shot? Right. And that's the kind of thing, every amateur from probably a bogey golfer on down, have a go-to shot. Hey, I'm not feeling good. My swing's not feeling good. But if I do this one thing, I can hit a little fade. If I do this one thing, I can hit it high and get it up in the air. Mm-hmm. Every student should kind of have in their back pocket a go-to shot that they're going to go to.
Yeah.
The other thing to remind your listeners to is when it's all said and done, when the nerves go up, when the pressure and the pucker factor go up, I don't care even if a Tiger's elite level, you're gonna revert back to your old patterns. That's just a fact. Okay, that's why you work hard, so you can begin to overcome those patterns and those tendencies. So one of the things as a teacher you've got to do is educate your student. What's your pattern? What's your fallback tendency? You don't mean to do it, but you're human. And
Right.
that lifelong pattern you develop over a long time is going to generally come back and bite you.
Right on.
So if you hypothetically, let's just say your pattern is thin and right, and you get nervous, you just kind of clank it a little out to the right. It's a great reminder to make a practice swing and really kind of stay down and through it, or really kind of get the right side fully through it, so you're not coming up and out of it. If that's your pattern, the coach really needs to do a good job of explaining that, making
Right.
sure the student knows to do that, hey, if you're feeling some stress, this is probably the pattern you're going to fall back into.
Correct. No, that's spot on. What do you think, Brian, is the reason when it comes to teaching golf, like you have for so many years, some people gravitate to getting it right away, what you're saying, and others have a much harder time with it. Why do you think that is?
Well, one of the things about being a good instructor is going beyond having the head knowledge that, the club should be square, the head shouldn't move, or some of those type of things. One of the things you have to really do is watch and observe your student for what their style of learning is. And let me stereotype a little bit. I just got done with a few days with my Korean students. They're my academy, and there's about 20-ish kids between 15 and 25. Some of them are going to become superstars. Some of them are, more in the maybe shooting 80 range as they're learning the game. But to stereotype, Koreans build great cars. They make great engineers, much like a German person if you're stereotyping.
Right.
What does that mean? Well, it means they learn more left brain. They need more structure. They love to hear, here's the 4 steps you need to work on. Now, I'm thinking of a guy that was on my college golf team. He went on to win the NCAA and play in the play the tour for a few years, Clark Burroughs. Clark is about the furthest right brain human being I've ever met. He had no swing thoughts. Everything was feel. Everything was touchy-feely. You told Clark something I told my Korean Academy kids, he wouldn't have understood a word of it. With my Korean Academy, I have to always work not to make it too simple. They want structure. So one of the things, just as a human, how do you learn the best? What's your style? Studies show 71% of people learn visually, which is why you carry your phone, your iPad, and
Right.
There's video cameras around, and you show people how to learn. Nick Faldo, when he worked with Ledbetter, when I was around David all those years, Nick was an auditory learner. Nick wanted to hear kind of the sound of what it felt like to make it happen. And to David's credit, he didn't try and force left brain stuff on Nick. Nick was a much more creative, hear it kind of guy. But one of the things as a teacher you got to do is you really have to be in tune with your students and not force your method on the student. If the student's going to learn a certain way, it's my job to make sure they can learn it the correct way for them, not just force it my way because I think my way is the best. And
Right.
Then you get in we're not even talking the technical side of things. So many teachers tend to teach one way. They teach every golfer the same thing, the same method. And that just drives me crazy because everybody's built differently, much like the story we told earlier with Nick Price.
You're right.
Every teacher's job is to match the student's style of learning with the correct information to give that golfer the best opportunity to succeed and reach their goals, no matter what they're shooting in the hundreds or whether it's a tour player. And that's something I know I've always strived to do, and I've had some fantastic mentors in my life that have shown me those things.
Yep. No, that's well said. Speaking of tour players, let's put tour players aside, Brian. What's the commonality of problems that amateurs come to you for?
Well, let me kind of go even past your question a little bit. So a student comes in for a lesson. Typically I watch them hit a few shots, I ask a few questions, I look at their equipment. What I'm trying to do is get to the root cause of why their ball's doing something wrong, slicing, hooking too low or something like that. And what a good teacher does is try and get to the root cause. I mean, you can have a golf ball be hooking, but the root cause might be related all the way back to something in their setup. And too often you hear maybe another teacher, a buddy, somebody say, oh, you're just coming over the top. Well, okay, well, what's making you come over the top? Let's figure out why that's happening.
Right.
So you really need to trace and understand how to identify what root causes are. And if you're one of the young teachers out there listening right now, boy, really do some good homework. Find some mentors older than you, and really do some quality kind of behind the scenes stuff, trying to figure out where root causes are. I had a couple of people in my life that, I went literally from the PGA Tour to teaching at the Ledbetter Academy. I had no training, no experience, and yeah, I knew what I was doing because I was a golfer. But I still remember the first few weeks of training, my eyes just got open that, hey, A caused B or B caused C. If you fix A, B gets fixed too. And, light bulbs went off for things that I kind of knew because I was in the game of golf. And in hindsight, I had no understanding of why. And, to be around Ledbetter when he just was, the king of instruction, and watching what David did to people was just a huge blessing to be able to understand and see what things were caused by.
Yeah.
Now 20 years later, that foundation is still helping me help golfers understanding the why and the root cause behind it all.
Yep. No, I agree. And Led's one of the best. He's been on the show many, many times, and like you say, he's one of the best. A lot of good instructors have worked under him and learned a lot of good stuff, such as yourself. All right, stay with us. We're going to take another short break. We come back, we're going to finish up the show and finish up our talk with Brian Mogg. We're back right after this.
One of the buzzwords happening in golf is the word lag. You hear it all the time, but what is it, and how do I get it? Lag simply is the loading of the club to help produce tons of power in your golf swing. Up until now, getting lag into your swing has been very hard. Introducing the lag shot, a brand new proven training aid being praised by some of the leading PGA Tour instructors across the globe. This practice aid trains your hands, arms and body how to make a powerful, efficient golf swing with an amazing amount of lag. Lag Shot is a 7-iron length club with the same loft and lie with a whippy, flexible blue shaft and a beautiful jet black club head. After you master the Lag Shot, your game will change forever with a stress-free swing, more power and more distance with lower scores every time you play. Go to lagshotgolf.com and you'll see why this truly is becoming the #1 training aid in golf. Visit lagshotgolf.com.
Experience a salon like no other. Charm Beauty Lounge specializes in hair, skin, and a non-surgical, painless way to fuller hair, designed to boost hair volume up to 400% without glue or solvents. Make your appointment today. Call 702-201-1655.
Hey beautiful, come on in. Charm Beauty Lounge, Charm Beauty Lounge.
Brian, can you be a top golf instructor such as yourself without ever having played competitively?
You certainly can. It just makes it a whole lot easier that when you can relate to scenarios and situations. If I've gone through it, I'm sharing it with my student. If I haven't, I hope I know what I'm doing, but it's not mandatory. Certainly some of the top teachers out there have not had, maybe great competitive backgrounds in terms of where their games are at, but I don't think that disqualifies you from teaching. But I could give you 100 examples instantly almost of how I've helped my students because I identified what happened to me from playing the tour or playing high level junior golf, amateur golf, those type of things. Mm-hmm. I think the students have crazy benefited from that because I knew what to do in certain situations.
Do you do that on the range, or do you believe in, because a lot of instructors don't, in playing lessons where you can actually show them what you're talking about because you've been through it?
Well, playing lessons are fantastic. I love getting out on the golf course, no matter whether it's, a tour event and practice round or whether it's taking you out just, in Orlando or Chambers Bay type thing and just going on the golf course. You want to hear an amazing, really cool story? You ready for one?
Of course.
All right, this is a cool one. I haven't told this to too many people, but he started with me as a junior golfer, became top 10 junior, and took a scholarship at the University of Michigan. Mm-hmm. And the final year that the winner of the U.S. Pub Links got you into the Masters. So Orlando-based student Lion Kim, I mean, he used to be the U.S., not just the U.S. amateur, but the U.S. public links amateur, also got in the Masters. I think 2012 was the last year. Well, Lion was the last year that was true. So he won it in August of 11. That got him in the 2012 Masters for the final year. So we go to Augusta that spring, and for 3 rounds, I hooked Lion up with KJ Choi. KJ was awesome, mentored him, showed him all around the place, and finally, about 3, 4 o'clock on Wednesday, it's time to go play the par 3 contest.
I love it.
He would get paired with Bubba, and as much as I felt I'd helped Lion, as much as I felt I'd gotten him ready to go, if anybody's been to the par 3 contest, there's nothing like it in sport.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine, LeBron at the free throw line and 25,000 people can sit around the lane and watch him shoot a free throw. What it's like. The shortest shot's about 70 yards, the longest is about 140, and the patrons literally sit on the fringe 30, 40 deep, and you've got to hit shots and the oohs and the ahs, and if you've ever won a major, you get to come back and play. I mean, it's really it's one of the coolest things in golf. So anyway, Lion goes over there, and he's a fairly confident young man at 21 years old, gets paired with Bubba, and he was not in his element.
Oh, boy.
Very nervous. I don't know, he shot 1 or 2 over. And it's now 4:30, 5 o'clock. He tees off in, a little over 12 hours. And he comes off the ninth green, par 3, and goes, all right, we got to go fix this, and we got to get you ready to go. And I was laughing on the inside because I kind of knew that was likely what was going to happen in that par 3. I mean, it's just hard to get freed up when you've never been in that scenario.
Yeah.
So we run up to the range. It's 5 o'clock on Wednesday. And I told Lion, get your yardage book out. He pulls it out. How do you want to play number 1 tomorrow? And got his driver. He had a nice tee shot, and I showed him where we thought about where it was going to be. And I remember giving him 178 yards. I said, I know where the pin's going to be tomorrow. It's going to be middle right center. What are you going to do tomorrow from 178? And he pulled a 6-iron out. Hit his shot. We went to the next hole, and I said, par 5, you want to hit driver down the left side so you have a chance to go for it? You want to hit 3-wood a little wider out to the right and make it a 3-shot hole? He says, driver. And he did. So he hit a good drive, and I said, all right, do you want to hit 3-wood? It's a back left pin on Thursday, or you want to lay a 4-iron way out to the right, have an angle in? And he did what he wanted to do. And we got on the 3rd hole, and I said, you want to hit driver over the bunkers, get it down the valley so you got an uphill wedge, or you want to safer hit more of a hybrid off the tee and have 8-9-iron in? And anyway, he hit the tee shot on 3. He looked over at me and said, can we play all 18 holes? And what happened in that scenario is he was so internal, so technical, so overwhelmed with 25,000 fans looking at him. We got on the range, and I got his focus external. Got him thinking about the shots he wanted to hit, what he was going to do.
Yep.
Flash forward to the next morning, he was paired with Davis Love and Jose Maria Olazabal, the Ryder Cup captains later that year. And I went over, I know Davis, went up to Davis and said, hey, I want you to meet Lion. You guys are going to be paired together. I didn't know Jose, but I went up to him anyway and introduced him and got that out of the way. And we did everything we could to put Lion in a comfortable position before he played in the Masters. I mean, he's a 21-year-old amateur. You never know if it's going to be his only time ever playing.
Right.
So they get up on the first tee. They announce, hey, Davis, Ryder Cup captain, PGA champion, 21-time winner. I mean, one of the good guys in golf. They announce him, and they get up. Jose, 2-time Masters champion, Europe's Ryder Cup captain this year. Big applause. Well, they get up and basically just said, Lion Kim, 2011 U.S. Public Links champion. Well, Lion was the only one of the 3 to hit the fairway. It turned out Lion had 182 yards, not the 178 I'd given the night before. Lion hit it to 6 feet, or to 8 feet, and was one of only 11 birdies the whole week made. He birdied his first hole right out of the box.
Wow.
And kind of to finish the story, he ended up shooting 75, 73. He didn't birdie 13 or 15 on the back 9 Friday, and he went for the pin at 18 and caught the lip of the bunker and made bogey. Missed the cut by 3, but he shot 75, 73. Very, very respectable shot.
Oh, yeah.
He tells his grandkids about it one day.
Oh,
He
yeah.
can look, say, hey, I was competitive. He probably beat half the field. He just didn't quite make the cut.
Right.
I know a big factor in that was how comfortable we made him on the range, basically doing a dry run of what he was going to go through the next day. We got his focus away from himself and got the nerves more out of play, and he performed at a very high level, which couldn't be happier for him.
Yeah. No, that's a great story. That's a great story, Brian. Before I let you go, I got to ask you this. Brian, in reality, in talking to a lot of people, seeing a lot of swings, I think basically the golf swing is pretty darn simple. You take it back, you hit it through. Why then do so many players seem to make it harder than it really should be?
Well, let's go to the end result. Ultimately, why do you come for a golf lesson? Think about that for a second. Why would you come for a golf lesson? And the simple answer is to learn, to get better, to improve, to change my swing.
Right.
Those are all great. But ultimately, the ultimate answer is I want to learn to perfect something that doesn't require thought.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at, if I said, Dennis, right now, give me your signature and write something down, you would just scribble your name down and not think about it.
Right.
So ultimately, what you're trying to do in golf is develop a no-thinking action that you don't have to think about while you're performing. And one of the challenges of teaching is, how do I provide information, knowledge, and some technique, but not really increase how much brain power is going into doing that? So that's one of the challenges just purely of teaching. It's a challenge for the student. How can we transfer over some knowledge, give you some drills, and try and make this as field-based as you can? But you have to remember that the end result, you're not trying to have 19 positions in the swings dead perfect. You're trying to kind of have your own signature in your swing, so that there's some flow and some rhythm and some naturalness to it.
Right.
I think that just gets so overlooked with TV and magazines and all the instructions that's out there. We fill the students' heads up with way more than they need to know.
Yeah, I totally agree. Real quickly again, before I let you go, when can we look for this new virtual academy, and how do people find it?
Well, mogacademy.com is the website at the moment. It'll have information on that. But we're trying to have this up, Virtual Golf Academy. I'm actually not sure what the website is now that you mention it. It might be vgaacademy.com. But if you Google my name, it'll pop up. But we're literally February 1st to have it up and running no later than then. The PGA show is next week. We're meeting with a couple of partners. We've got some cool things we're going to announce with V1 and some other people that it's going to take your game to another level. We're going to do some things online with students out there. They're going to have access to me like kind of no one else in the game of golf is doing. So we're going to be able to influence and from afar help students all over the world improve their game. And we're unbelievably excited about what we're going to offer, because there's a few other teachers doing this already, but we think we're going to offer some crazy things over and above what anybody else is doing and have a massive effect on people's golf games.
No, that's awesome. And I'm sure it's going to be a huge hit if you're behind it, because pretty much everything you do is pretty darn successful. But anyway, thanks so much for your time. I know you're busy. Always great information. Love having you on the show. And, we're going to have you back sooner than later, Brian.
All right, Dennis. Thanks so much.
My pleasure. All right, Brian Mogg, everybody. Great teacher, great guy. All right, we're going to step away to our game tip of the week with Adam Bazalgette from Scratch Golf Academy in Florida. Another great teacher. And a few spots. We'll be back to finish up the show.
Hi, Adam Bazalgette here from Scratch Golf Academy with another game improvement tip for the 19th hole podcast for golfers. Let's have a look at this driver, the swing plane. Why is that swing plane so important? Number one, it's the way the club is designed. It's designed to swing on this angle it's built, but why does it produce consistently more power? Well, a couple of reasons. And let's assume your problem, which is what 80% of people's problems, is too steep. Once you've pumped a couple in very slow speed, let your body just start to unpivot, let the club come along the ground to the ball. For most people, it's a revelation to feel what it feels like to drive with the club more here and less in front of them. Hope this helps you.
Hey golfers, I've been a golf talk show host for a long time, and I've been playing golf even longer. Being in golf media, I've had the chance to play every ball ever made. I've tried them all. Well, my search is finally over, because I found the best ball I have ever played with, and more golfers are finding the same thing. I started playing with the Elixir golf ball made by Encore Golf. Encore Golf has revolutionized both their golf balls, the Elixir or the Avant 55, or the brand new Vero X1, to where the performance of either will simply blow you away. It did me. If you're looking for better performance and durability with your ball, Encore Golf has it. Don't just take my word for it. Check them out at encoregolf.com, and you'll become convinced, as I am, the first time you tee it up with Encore. It's the best performing ball for the price. Go to encoregolf.com and see for yourself. Your scores will love you for it. That's ONCORE golf.com.
As golfers, we want instant gratification when it comes to a better golf swing and playing better golf. Impossible, you say? Not anymore. Golf Boost Artificial Intelligence, AI, has developed and patented the most advanced swing analysis technology in golf. Simply, the algorithms detect your body position and then analyze your golf swing using their artificial intelligence technology. The AI captures all the relevant data from your swing video and then presents you a personalized lesson. Golf Boost AI is the ultimate swing analysis and virtual instruction system for golfers of all ages and abilities. This sophisticated software takes into consideration your height and build, playing level, and returns the ideal solution for your swing. Bottom line, Golf Boost AI is an incredibly convenient and cost-effective tool for golfers to improve their swing. Go to golfboost.com and check it out. The app is free to download and try. Visit golfboost.com today.
Innovation begins at a single point. Elements, each with their unique character. Fire-forged steel creates unprecedented control. Chemistry delivers a touch so soft, combined to create a level of performance previously unimagined. Like magic, the Elixir, the new tour ball from Encore.
All right, that's going to wrap it up for this edition of the 19th Hole podcast for golfers. I want to thank Brian Mogg. He's a great guest, a great instructor, and we always like talking about, and he's got great stories, obviously. So we'll have another great guest for you next week, same time, same place. Until then, get out and try to play some golf. So long, everybody.